Western Russia, 1943. Vast German and Soviet armies clash in history's greatest and deadliest tank battle.
The earth was trembling, as if there was a huge earthquake.
2,500 German panzers and assault guns face more than 5,000 Soviet tanks. By the time it's over, the casualties will reach more than 200,000.
The gunners told me later that all they saw were grey walls. They were just firing and firing.
The earth and sky were burning.
This is the bloody Battle of Kursk.
Tanks were on top of tanks. Soldiers on soldiers. Sheer terror.
July 5th, 1943. Day one of Hitler's Operation Citadel. More than 800 German tanks roll across the Russian plain towards the town of Kursk. Waiting for them are the Soviets, defending their homeland with the biggest tank army ever assembled. This is Hitler's final attempt at turning the tide of war on the Eastern Front. A war that for the last several months has been going very badly for the Germans. Since their disastrous defeat at Stalingrad in February of 1943, Soviet forces have been relentlessly battering the Germans, forcing them into a 180-mile fighting retreat back towards Germany. By the end of the winter, the German army on the Eastern Front is shattered and teeters on the brink of destruction. But Hitler is determined to reclaim the initiative in the East, and he makes plans for a massive counteroffensive. His plan is to launch a large-scale pincer maneuver to cut off the Soviet-held salient, centered on the industrial town of Kursk. The goal? Encircle and destroy the 500,000 Soviet forces in the Kursk Bulge. But the battlefield is huge. 200 kilometers long and 150 kilometers deep, most of it rolling farmland. In the wide open spaces of the fabled Russian steppes, it's ideal for tank warfare. It's a formidable objective. And over the spring and early summer, the Germans amassed two entire army groups. 780,000 men, close to 10,000 guns, and 2,500 tanks. An immense force that will shake Mother Russia to the core. But this buildup has not gone unnoticed, and as the Germans prepare for Operation Citadel, so do the Soviets.
Now the enemy is gathering its massive power. He wants to gain revenge for their defeat in Stalingrad. So our commanders decided to regroup in the spring and regroup us in preparation for defense. Either we would attack right away or by defending, exhaust our enemy.
To meet the impending German attack, the Soviets build up almost 2 million men, 25,000 guns, and more than 5,000 tanks. And all across the Kursk salient, they dig in.
We had several lines stretching about 300 kilometers or so along the front. And the earth was so dug up. We had about 400 kilometers of trenches. The army and civilians did that, working on making anti-tank ditches, which tanks would not be able to get out of. And also in the places where the tanks were in danger of getting through, we made minefields. And that wasn't just in one place. It was almost along the entire length of the defensive lines. We had anti-tank guns, and they were amazing. And of course, tanks.
The backbone of the Soviet Armored Corps is the T-34 medium tank. With a 76mm main cannon and 47mm of sloping frontal armor, the 31-ton T-34 has a deadly balance of firepower, protection, and mobility. By the summer of 1943, Soviet factories have produced tens of thousands of them. And all across the Kursk salient, the T-34s move into position. July 5th, 1943. After 3 months of preparation, the Germans are finally ready for their attack. 1 hour before Operation Citadel is to begin, Soviet gunners unleash a massive artillery attack on German positions.
All of a sudden, such a huge noise started, you could go deaf from it. The earth was trembling, as if there was a huge earthquake. The Germans were astounded. They never expected this from Russia.
As it was dusk, it looked like fireworks. When the Stalin Orgel exploded, the barrage was so intense, it actually destroyed the position. This caused lots of casualties right from the beginning. But something must have happened, as it was impossible for the Russians to figure the time of the attack, exactly 1 hour prior to the planned attack.
But the Soviets knew the time of the attack to the minute. They captured a team of German sappers who revealed it under interrogation. The artillery barrage causes chaos in German lines and delays the launch of Operation Citadel. But only for 1 hour. Shortly after dawn, the Germans attack.
Masses of tanks, about 500-600 were coming, a horrid amount of tanks.
The German tanks were advancing towards us. Each tank carried 20 to 30 devils, and all of them were drunk like shoemakers.
And that's when all hell broke loose.
The earth and sky were burning. Tanks were on top of tanks. Soldiers on soldiers. Armageddon. But we kept our word. No backing away, not even a step. For Stalin.
By the end of the day, the Germans have made only modest inroads into the vast network of Soviet defenses along the Kursk salient. In the south, the German Fourth Army's panzers advance only 20 kilometers, while in the north, the Ninth Army has fared even worse, with gains of only 10 kilometers at a cost of dozens of tanks and more than 1,000 men. So far, Operation Citadel is going nowhere. And now, Soviet forces along the northern shoulder of the Kursk Bulge prepare to counterattack.